BJ Counsel. I view the world through the lens of having been followed by a white clerk as a child while shopping in a five and dime. I'm a retired police executive and own UN50, which gives guidance on surviving interactions with police.
I'm Harmony Chavis, and I view the world through the lens of one of the most misunderstood and diverse generations in our nation's history. I'm a social worker and a believer of radical kindness and love as modalities of healing.
My name is Andrew Counsel. I view the world through the lens of a generational camera phone. I wake up as a black male and go to bed as a black male. I am surviving this never-ending court case we commonly call life in the best way I know how.
Welcome back to UN50. Those of you that are always following us, and we appreciate those that stay in there and hang in there with UN50. Welcome back. And this is just us and the team today because the June 15th is our 1-year anniversary. We started our first podcast June 15th of 2020 in the middle of the pandemic. And here we are. So we're just going to kind of reminisce for a few minutes about where that is. So for you, those of you that are joining us for the first time, UN50 is LLC, and we help teach people how to interact with law enforcement safely, primarily Black and brown folks. And we have discussions that revolve around law enforcement, but not necessarily always about law enforcement, because we believe that this issue is larger than that. So we have a lot of different topics. And so we're excited about actually making it to a year. And so I'm going to introduce our guest again, and they can tell you a little bit about it. And then we're just going to kind of take it from there. So
please don't say me first.
Oh, okay. So Andrew, there you go, Andrew.
Hey, my name is Andrew or Drew Counsel. I am BJ's favorite nephew, because I'm the
only nephew.
Yes, I'm the only nephew. I just graduated recently, actually like a month ago, from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, and I'm currently working full-time for a company in Greensboro as of right now. So it's good to be here and be in this new space, or the same space, with this marking the year. So I'm very appreciative of this year that we get to share together.
Thank you. So what's up, Harmony?
Hey, Andrew. I was going to say something to Andrew, but I forgot what it was. I was about to say, you didn't have any time to like transition from school to like working full time. I feel like you at least need that summer of just like pure wildness before you go into working full time. So I'm a little sad that you didn't get that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. My senior year was solely virtual, so I got to go outside, quote unquote, as much as I wanted to.
We outside. And I'm supposed to introduce myself. Why does this befuddles me literally every single time? My name's Harmony. I'm gonna stop saying
That's okay.
I also just graduated about a month ago with my master's from Western Carolina University. I wish I wasn't working full time. I need a break. And then what was the other thing that I was going to say? I guess nothing. I guess maybe I'm not that interesting.
You are very interesting. And if you weren't working full time, is to work full time or be homeless. So I think, and you do a good job too. You're both of you guys. I'm kind of honored to be in the company of people that have degrees, college degrees and stuff. So it's just
and college debt. I was depending on Joe Biden to like at least wipe 10,000 of that. But
yeah, I know.
Here we are.
Yeah. So anyway, like I said, this is June 15th, 1 year. We started out, I asked these two to participate. They said yes, and they were working. And then my nephew was in college and he even said yes. So do you know why you said yes, Andrew?
I think because I knew it was an important topic, and I also was interested in it. Do you remember when you helped me with the letter to the PD? Was that before UN50 or was that after? I don't know
whether I think that might have been before. I don't know. Yeah, but you had a letter to the campus police department,
correct. Right? So, I wrote a letter for those, I guess no one knows, I guess, but I wrote a letter to the campus, our PD at UNCG there, the police chief at the department, asking for some type of, I guess, like integration in the programs that they were doing to help the community, I guess, of UNCG and the relationship that they had with students. And in the department. So I wrote a letter and thinking about how that connects to the work that I was trying to do at the school before the pandemic. A little, I think it was during the summer of the pandemic, and then also the work that UN50 does. And I said they go together well. So I think my voice and my ears also would have been a great addition to the team.
Cool. Yeah, and I appreciate your willingness to do that. So because you guys volunteer your time and it means a lot. It's very nice. So Harmony, I just kind of dragged you along because we had tried to
Oh
do
yeah,
it.
our failed podcast. I didn't think it was a fail. I think you were just too sensitive about it. If
Yeah.
you don't know BJ, you don't know that she has like one of the dirtiest, most warped minds of any human being that I know. So I think your humor as well as my humor is very specific.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the context for it, I could totally understand why it would be like a little perplexing to people. But yeah, I kind of liked our little fail podcast. I
Yeah.
liked it.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I think we do pretty good sometimes here too. I think we kind of get a little bit of the stuff in there. So
Was it June 15th that we recorded, or was it that's when the first episode came out?
June 15th is for the release of our first podcast. We didn't record on it, and we actually started out doing it every week.
Oh yeah, that was rough. And it was like 2 hours every time too.
Yeah, we started out every 2 weeks, and then I was like, I'm old and I can't do that. And then I also wanted to be mindful of your time that you guys were giving me, just to help me out. So what do you think? I mean, what do you think? You think we've, based on what we did the first year, you think we did okay?
I think we did better than okay. I think we did good.
And ain't nobody gonna say no, we did horrible. I mean, come
No, I
on.
mean, no,
Why would you even ask me that question?
yeah, no, I guess I'm just trying to figure, the fact that we didn't focus constantly on law enforcement, because I think you talked about that early
Yeah.
on. We just did not want to. And I guess I'm asking, did we meet that mark?
Yeah, I
Did
think
we
so.
ground ourselves just talking popo all the time?
I don't think so. And I think that that's what I really appreciate, excuse me, about UN50 in general is the fact that it's not just about the perspective of law enforcement. I would say majority of what we do is not really talking about the perspective of law enforcement, which I think is very different than how UN50 initially started out. I remember that was like a conversation that we had a lot of push and pull on. I would say it was probably me and Ron and Crystal versus you and Steve sometimes, depending on the day. But it was a lot to kind of present that to you as an option. So I think that this is a really good example of your growth over the last, what you started UN50 in 2014, right?
Is it 2014? Yes, official. Yeah.
How do I know and you don't know?
Yeah, no, well,
She's old.
look, it was officially a business in 2015, but yeah, the idea of it started in 2014.
Yeah, in 2014. So just like seeing how much you've changed over the course of these last couple of years, I would even say probably in the last year and a half, I've seen such a big difference, not necessarily in like who you are or what you believe, but I think the way that you are interpreting information is a lot different now. And I think that because you are retired law enforcement, excuse me, it brings a really different and interesting perspective that I feel like was missing before. So I think we did a really good job. I've enjoyed talking to the people we've got to talk to. I enjoy hearing myself talk, so that's fun. And I enjoy you guys.
Oh, what do you think, Andrew?
I was
Don't say it.
no, I wasn't. I was thinking about something that Harmony said about some of the different topics that we've been able to cover, and just me being able to listen, as I mentioned, listening and give my voice and my opinion on some of the things we talked about, and having the I guess the plethora of different topics, not only regarding police departments but or police force, but having a little bit of UN50 in each topic that we talked about, or how we can apply the things that we learned that you teach to the things that we talk about was very poignant for me as well.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I just kind of, and I'm hoping that we will continue to do that as we move forward and into that. We're gonna, so just maybe just a little bit. Anything you guys want to do or think we should try, that the audience might like. If you have any thoughts about, just to put it out there, some things you guys are thinking about.
I think it's for me. I'm still kind of thinking of things that we can chat about. I was actually amazed at how vast the subject matter is that we cover, but
Mhm.
also how timely and I don't know, just right all of it feels. And I don't know about anybody else's beliefs, but I believe that God, or whatever you call your divine being, if you have one, really has put those topics in our path as we should cover them. Like, I remember having an idea about, I think it was like Breonna Taylor, and it was random, and it was coming just as they were giving new opinions. You had the idea to talk with the folks from I Am Brilliant, and that was kind of around the time that the George Floyd verdict was coming out. So I think everything has just been so timely. And for me, it's just kind of being open to whatever idea comes to me, and also trusting that it's here for a reason. So I don't have any specific ideas, but I definitely think that I don't know, it's been very challenging to think of how many ways we could expand this. Because I remember when we first started, we were like, we have to have this be about law enforcement. And it was really hard to think about, okay, how are we going to keep recording these episodes? Like, there's only so much, not just to talk about, that really we want to talk about, or that listeners would be interested in. So I don't know, we are a group of pretty dynamic folks with a lot of I don't know, experience. I hope that maybe as we continue to grow as a podcast, we can, I don't know, bring our own experiences in a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think that's what I appreciate about you, Harmony, especially when we did our first one, when we came back after the holiday. I think that was, and it was just you and I. The fact that I've actually, now we ask the guest at the end of the year, at the end of their interview, what does a compassionate system look like to you? And I think that's so valuable, because that was one thing that you really want, is like, how can we make this thing better? How can we make it more compassionate, that not law enforcement, but the entire system? And I appreciate that, because I was like, yeah, how do you make this system more compassionate, in all the systems, really? So yeah, and so thank you for that too. And
yeah. Well, BJ, how do you feel about the first year?
So you guys can read. I mean, I'm actually in awe that we're here, because I really didn't think this was gonna. I guess mainly I just didn't think I'd be here.
You didn't think you'd be alive, or you didn't think that?
No, I didn't think the podcast would still be going.
Oh, okay.
And I think the two of you kind of helped me do that, and then the team that we have, that folks can't see, Abby and Chris, are just supportive, and it's kind of fun, to talk to folks and stuff like that. So I'm humbled that we're still doing this, but to talk about what you were saying, I have grown, I think, and that it took a little bit of that. I think actually the pandemic helped that I just need to speak my truth as a Black female who happens to have been a police executive.
Yeah.
Had to come to my experience.
Right.
To share that, and learning how to share that in a space where people still feel comfortable in expressing themselves. I think that was a big struggle for me, trying to make sure that, I come in here with this law enforcement experience, but I wanted to be comfortable for anybody that's in this space to be able to vocalize that. Hoping the podcast helps a little bit, and it just keeps it's my personality. This podcast has kind of definitely helped round my edges.
So say you. I wish that we could take a look at your two Medium pieces, because there was one I think that you wrote last year around this time, or maybe a little earlier, and now you have a second one out. And just, I don't know, I would be interested to compare it side by side, so we can even just see how your language has changed and how impactful language can be, and the people that we're able to really speak to and communicate with. But yeah, I've definitely seen you grow leaps and bounds, even just like speaking your truth. I think that that's something that we all need to be comfortable enough to do. And I think it says something about you that you not only create a space where other people feel comfortable telling their truth, but also where you can feel brave and courageous and safe enough to tell your own truth. So it's been really exciting for me to watch.
Thank you very much. So speaking of that, did you, Drew, did you get a chance to watch the Medium one, the George Floyd Act II? Were you able to take a look at that? I sent it to you.
Yeah, I read the second that you sent me. I read that one.
Okay, you didn't tell me what you thought though. So I was like,
I'm sorry. Sometimes I read a lot of articles, and I'll digest it and then want to respond back to it. But I remember reading, because I actually compared the two, because when I read it, I went to go look at the other one, and I was like, I thought you were saying the same one. I was like, wait, it's not the same one. So I had to make sure I wasn't going crazy. So I had to go check to make sure I wasn't. So I compared the two. I didn't notice necessarily I guess like a drastic change, but I could tell the difference in like where we were, I guess, as you know, having your business in the back of your head, where you were back then than where you are now, and how different you kind of see things, or things that you've been able to add to the way that you think regarding the topic that we discussed.
Cool. I think I wanted to, um, we want to can you continue to do this, obviously, and then I just want to talk about a couple of things that we're going to try to do for the next rest of the year, and as you and 50 continues to do the work that we do, we're going to possibly start doing some tours. Hopefully, maybe one of you guys will want to come out, and the tour is just mainly a Q&A. It's not a full-blown presentation, but it gives people an opportunity to ask questions and do that. So hopefully you guys will want to be a part of that, because that would be kind of nice to let people see us in the flesh, since the world is opening back up. So I just kind of feel like people just want to ask questions and make that space available to them.
BJ, you gotta go. We outside.
We outside. Yeah, I'm gonna get at the Abby to kind of figure out how to say that. We outside. Come and join us. Yeah, Abby, get her to figure out how to do that. For those of you, I'm keep putting out these names. Abby Bradidich is my marketing consultant, and then Chris Downey is my producer for U and 50. So it's like a little family. And then we're going to do possibly something we had, if anybody listened to our last two podcasts with Principal Amanda Pryor and Dr. Craig Waleed, we're actually thinking about also doing, I don't want to call it a tour, but we're thinking about going around and having conversations from the perspective of schools, reentry, and police. And because we see stuff that a lot of folks in the community, they're talking about it, but we see it up close and personal. So we're hoping to be able to do that. You guys got any comments about either one of those types of events that we're planning or hoping to work toward for the next phase of U and 50? Nothing.
When you said, how I feel about being seen out in the public. So when you said tour, I was like, she has not discussed this with me. Like,
no,
are we
yeah.
included in this? You know how I feel about Facebook Lives. Not a fan of Facebook Lives.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be good. I think for me, or what I would be interested in seeing, and maybe this is something that we could discuss outside of the podcast as well, is just seeing like, what do people need to feel engaged? What is it that they're looking for that we might not be hitting on? Because I feel like there's just so much more room for engagement.
Yes.
But I don't know what those angles are. So I would be interested to find out, what are these angles and how do we get more involved and more in front of people? Because I think U and 50 as a program is very, very different now than it was U and 50, the program, even 2 years ago. I mean, it's very different. Even with the same information, I feel like the way that you're presenting it, the tone is different, the language is different. Things are, I think it would be easier for civilians to engage at this point. So I'm just wondering, what else can we do? And if you're listening to this podcast, I don't know if anybody that's listening has ever been to one of our presentations, but I would be interested to know, what are the types of things that you would want to hear about from us? What are the type of topics that you want to hear about? Because I don't know, I think this is really special what you do. We just have to find a different angle to get people more engaged.
Yeah, and you know what? And I appreciate that. We have a PR person that's going to hopefully look for those spaces that we might be able to go into. So I really appreciate you saying it, because you're right. We want to figure out where people are, if that's a space we need to be in, and what that looks like. So yeah, I appreciate that. Definitely. Yeah. So cool. Andrew, you got anything?
Mine was similar to hers. I was thinking about like looking at the analytics and seeing what works best in regard to the topics that we discussed too. Something I think that I would also enjoy seeing would be, I guess U and 50 going to, this may be like a no or like maybe a yes or no, but when U and 50 or when something happens that may be drastically affecting communities that either we're around or the ones that we see on TV as popular or mediated, like I think U and 50 could be very helpful, specifically in those areas that are affected the most by like the most tragic events that we've been hearing or discussing about continuously. So that's something I would like to see in the future as well.
Cool. I appreciate that too. So hopefully, like I said, in matter of fact, Harmony Crystal, she's back. She's going to be my PR person.
How many times have I said lately, oh my God, I miss Crystal. What is Crystal up to?
Yeah.
Oh, love her. Back. Yay.
Yeah, so
that's so exciting.
Exciting.
Hi, Crystal.
Yeah, so she'll be back and as part of the team and hopefully promoting us out there. And then one of the other things, and we're going to kind of bring this to an end, is also we're going to have a link on our website, but it's called Alternative to Violence Project. And basically, what this project is it started out back in the mid '70s as a reentry mission to go in and talk to inmates about how to understand how to understand their anger instead of reaching for something or putting their hands on whatever those triggers are. And so what I'm trying to do as part of UN50 is this evolution as in our Black community, we need to figure out how to be able to communicate so we're not putting our hands on each other and or picking up the phone and calling the popo. You know, we call the police a lot. So I'm trying to figure out what do we need to do? How can we help our community not call the police or the government into their homes? And a part of that is teaching kids early on how to solve problems. Communication is communication. So I've trained with that. I'm a facilitator for that. And this is going to be a program that UN50 will be supporting and pushing out there because I believe once we learn how to talk and communicate, find out what our triggers are, then maybe some of this stuff, at least in our communities, can be reduced. And one of the things, I'm not going to go into details, but if you remember, I think his name is Isaiah Brown, who was shot in Windsor, Virginia, a few months ago, was shot 10 times. And one of the reasons he dialed 911 because his brother would not let him into his mother's room. And to me, that just speaks volumes about why is it that we cannot solve that problem without calling the police in our community. So those types of things, or how do we fail? I hate about apologize, Makai, I think her name, the young lady that was killed that picked up the knife. Wherever you are on that issue, the concern I have is how did we fail her as a community? That she felt like the only way to solve that problem is to pick up a knife. So what is it that we as a community need to do? So that's kind of what I want to help. I think, and for me, another part of UN50 is what can we do to help folks understand how to communicate with each other so you don't call the popo into your house. So that's something that I hopefully that we can do. So thank you guys for this anniversary. Thanks Abby, thanks Chris, and um, I'm humbled by the team that's surrounding me, making this something I thought, like I said, didn't know we'd be here. A year later. So thanks again. Thanks to you. To
Wait,
those of you.
BJ, before we end it, can I read what like one of my favorite quotes that I think is just so poignant to what
Yes.
we're doing? I mean, maybe you won't, but I think it is.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, but no, go ahead. I gotta look it up first.
Why you stop me then? Okay.
Because I thought you were about to round it out. You know how you do.
Yeah, to round it out. So yeah, so while she's doing that, I just want to also just say thank you to those in my village who support me and have been my, confidants and advisors that folks don't maybe not know in here, but though you guys mean a lot to me as well. So I really appreciate that. My family and my village that keep telling me to keep it going, and it's been fun. And thank you very much for those who continue to listen. And hope you'll want to ask other folks to join us and check out our Instagram, our Twitter, and our Facebook. All that's Abby, and she takes care of us and making sure everybody's got information out there. So before we close out, obviously we have word of wisdom from Ms. Harmony Chambers.
I feel like I'm coming up to the podium. We
Yeah,
used to have children's church where it didn't last very long, but thankfully it lasted long enough where I could be the preacher in children's church. And when I tell you, honey, I brought the house down.
I know you did.
I did. I did.
know you did.
So this is one of my favorite quotes. I think what we've done has been really brave, not only for you, BJ, because like this is your business, for me as well. I think the people that know me know that I am a no bullshit. Sorry, hopefully that space could help you bleep that out, Chris. Type of person. So this for me, a lot of the things that we talk about have been really difficult for me, and I think that personally, based on the life that I've lived and the type of work that I've done, to some people this could have been considered problematic. So this is a really great
Wow.
quote that I love.
Yeah.
It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly. who errs and comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error or shortcoming, but who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotion, who spends himself for a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be those with those cold and timid souls who never knew victory nor defeat.
Yeah, I love that one. I
That's
love it.
good.
Yeah, I've always loved that one. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, you got to be in the ring. You got to get in the ring. Andrew, you got anything?
Um, not something necessarily. I had something that when she was reading that, the ending of that made me think of a phrase that my mentor taught me. And it was to, if you're scared to do something, if you're scared to apply for a job, that job, or walk up to a person, or any side of the spectrum, just do it scared.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Do
so
it scared.
just do
Yeah, I
it.
love it. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, thank you for this year anniversary. And I really appreciate it. So thank you, everybody. And as always, everybody stay safe, stay well. Peace.